Hey guys, um, this will be a short one. I just wanted to point out something, or actually just ask a question. In John 17, excuse me, John 20, verse 17, what do you do with that? We'll start at 16. Jesus said to her, Mary. She turned and said to him in Aramaic, Rabboni, which means teacher. Jesus said to her, do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, I have seen the Lord, and that he said these things to her. I'm just curious. What do you do with that? When he's resurrected, he's in the spirit now, and he says, I'm ascending to my Father and your Father. So he has to be both our spiritual fathers. There's no way around that. And then he says, to my God and your God. So, does that strike you as odd? I mean, what do you just read through that? Do you just not pay any attention to it? My God and your God. Just, I can't see where anywhere else in human language where this would fly with the Trinitarian understanding. It's like if I said if I had a brother, which I do, but I told my brother, I said, I'm going to my parents and your parents. We would understand we have the same parent. He would not insert me and say, oh, you're my parent too. And when he says, this is Jesus speaking, this is the problem with all of this. This is Jesus saying this to my God and your God. That means they have the same God by default. And if Jesus is God, by default, they can't have the same God because Jesus would have to worship himself as God. But he only worshiped the Father. He never worshiped the Holy Spirit. And I can't detect anywhere where he worshiped himself as God. That's the only way this flesh of Jesus could have the same God. But then you have another problem. That flesh was dead. Dead. So the flesh is not an issue anymore. So now we're talking the Jesus raised life-giving spirit, the spiritual Jesus that exists in a spiritual infused body. He still has a God, and it's the same God that Mary has. So now you have to go back and you got to figure out where you can say Mary Magdalene was a Trinitarian. And I'm not going to dwell on it. I did some looking. There's nowhere. You would have to prove that Magdalene was a Trinitarian. You would have to prove that she would understand that her God and Jesus' God was the triune God. But nowhere will you find that. All you have is the singular testimony to the Father. So, it's just something for you guys to think about. You can't just blow through that verse. And if you do, it means that language has no meaning to you. If I walk up to you and I say, I'm ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God, you would clearly understand what that means. You would say, I'm going to Yahovah. I'm going to the Father. You would not be tempted to include me in my statement, would you? But for some reason, you do that with Jesus. For some reason, you take common sense language and you say, well, God, Jesus is including himself. The language doesn't allow for it. The structure of his language literally does not allow for it. And you go to verse 21, Jesus said to them again, peace be with you, as the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you. So he sends them out the same way. It's unbelievable. It's the same thing. But yeah, verse 17, be honest with yourself. Try and figure out why Jesus would say that, because he's not a human being anymore, clearly. So the whole James White argument's not going to work, is it? Because he's not a human. So it's not an issue of him being an atheist, is it? So think about that. To my God and your God. What does he mean when he says that? Is he including himself when he says that? Or is he speaking like anyone else would speak and letting you know that the same God that we both have, that's where I'm going? Not that I am that same God. God bless you.